Africa trade was very influential in its past, with many kingdoms establishing in these regions with gold, salt, and other valuables. These were some of the natural resources. There are many natural resources in Africa. The ancient people of Africa extracted all of these resources, and this was one of the main premises for trade. But before we get into the trade, let us talk about the geography. The geography of Africa was an interesting one. It had many biomes: chaparrals, savannas, deserts, sahels, and rainforests. Let's talk about deserts. Welcome to the Sahara Desert. It is vast, dry, hot, but many Africans adapted to the surroundings of this desert. Let's go to the next biome. Below the Sahara Desert is the Sahel biome. It is defined as the ecoclimatic and biogeographic realm of transition between the Sahara to the north and the Sudanian savanna to the south. The savanna is an area of grassland and scattered trees. It is where the majority of Africa's wildlife exists. The chaparral biome. The chaparral biome is very close to home, or should I say, it is home. San Diego is one of the only places where there is a true chaparral biome. In Africa, there are only two places where there are chaparral biomes: the Mediterranean basin and the Western Cape in South Africa. One of the most famous rainforests, the Congo, boasts 500 million acres of rainforest. It is larger than the state of Alaska and is the second largest rainforest in the world. Speaking of rainforests, let's talk about the Kingdom of Congo. The Kingdom of Congo emerged from the rainforests. The kingdom was comprised of many loosely united farming villages. People settled here because of the good, rich, fertile soil. Wise kings known as the Mani Congo led the people and united the kingdom. By the late 1400s, the Mani Congo led over 500,000 people and was quite wealthy because of a tribute system. Citizens of Congo paid some of their goods and services to the king and his royal subjects. This strengthened their economy and increased trade. In 1483, the Portuguese arrived at Congo. An alliance was arranged and the king converted to Christianity. His son Alfonso, as the new Mani Congo, expanded his kingdom, and his prisoners were sold to the Portuguese as slaves. But the Portuguese wanted more free labor, so they started to enslave the people of Congo. From then on, American and European slavery would devastate all of Africa. Putting all of that aside for now, let us talk about the Bantus. The people of Congo were made up of many Bantu speakers. Bantu means people, and it represents many peoples of Africa who share a common ancestry. The Bantu originated in present-day Nigeria and Cameroon, and they migrated everywhere. These people were masters of iron craftswork, and they used their advanced technology to easily settle and grow crops. When the soil was no longer fertile, they could easily pack their bags and move on. They migrated across most of South Africa, and different Bantu peoples branched out and created kingdoms. An example is Great Zimbabwe. Great Zimbabwe was created by a separate group of Shona Bantus who broke off and decided to settle. Great Zimbabwe's capital was quite fertile and was also near Kilwa, where a majority of the traders passed through to the coast. Because of this, Great Zimbabwe grew rich because of taxing trade goods. Zimbabwe means place of stone houses, and there were many Zimbabwes scattered around Africa. The rulers of Great Zimbabwe showed off their power with huge stone structures. The ruins of Great Zimbabwe can still be seen today. They are impressive and stunning. But Great Zimbabwe was abandoned. Historians believe that all of the city's resources were used up, and since the Portuguese traders came, trade was shifted away from Great Zimbabwe. Another kingdom in East Africa was Askum. Askum was located in present-day Ethiopia and was a rich trading kingdom. Askum was a trading hub. They were essential to the trade. One of the most sought-after commodities were ivory, or the tusks of elephants. Sadly, the elephants were killed when the tusks were harvested. This led to the endangerment of elephants. There was also a huge market for slaves, and the slave trade went on. But the Askumites also had their own currency and language. They had an abundance of literature. But Arab conquest soon shifted trade away from the Askum kingdom, and they eventually declined. But they used advanced boats specialized to travel in the Indian Ocean to get to other trading hubs. Now, let us talk about the northern part of Africa and the Saharan Desert. There were two main kingdoms in northern Africa, Ghana and Mali. The population of West Africa was growing. The Soninake people established a kingdom to keep order amongst the population. It was called Ghana. This prosperous kingdom lasted for over 1,000 years. Most of their wealth came from their trade, and they were masters of iron craftswork. They mostly relied on the trans-Saharan trade routes, which will be explained later, and the king of Ghana got to control the government and the army. It was also much easier for them to conquer new lands, as their enemies were still using primitive wooden weapons while they had already moved on to iron. This is how Ghana came to be. Now, let us talk about the Kingdom of Mali. When Ghana fell, different parts of the kingdom began competing for power. The Sorcerer King, or Sumanguru, took over the old kingdom of Ghana. He conquered the Manlik people and killed all but one of the king's sons. The last son of the king, Sundiata, had a disability, and so Sumanguru spared him. But he never knew that Sundiata would come for revenge. After Sundiata killed Sumanguru, he established the prosperous kingdom of Mali. They grew rich because of trade and conquered regions that produced gold. The richest person to ever live was in Mali, Mansa Musa. In fact, when he took his mandatory pilgrimage to Mecca, he handed out free gold to everyone on the way. He even broke the gold economy. the people of Mali were rich. Now let us talk about how they got so rich. Trans-Saharan trade. Trans-Saharan trade was a prosperous time for everybody. Native Berbers traded with foreigners in a deeply complex and interconnected trading network. This is how many kingdoms that we have discussed got rich. Like Askum, which was a trading hub. It got rich because of its location between the Sahara Desert and the Arabian Peninsula. A lot of trade happened in that area, and the kingdom of Askum could tax trade. People and individual merchants traveled in caravans across the desert, which was a group of camels walking together. All in all, Africa is an interesting and beautiful continent, with 54 countries in it today. It is worth looking into the history of Africa to find the beauty of the previous generations and empires. We should include and implement their positive aspects and learn from their mistakes. Anyways, we will see you on the next one.